In the cast list of the new drama, the director mistakenly printed my name Leo Vance as Leo Softy. I confronted him about it, but he arrogantly said, "If I didn't do this, how would a third-rate actor like you get famous? You should get down on your knees and thank me. Besides," he added, "your wife Scarlett Miller said, you truly live up to that name." The director banged the table to dismiss me, casting a contemptuous glance my way. Amid the argument, my wife Scarlett Miller walked in and scolded me. "What are you squabbling with director Drake for? Do you even deserve to?" I stared in shock at Scarlett, who should have been in Los Angeles filming, my gaze frozen on her visibly 8-month pregnant belly. Meeting my gaze, she dropped the act. "The child isn't yours, it's director Drake's. Don't even think about it. Who told you to just be a small-time actor? If you were a famous director, I wouldn't have had to sleep with one and bear his child just to get a role." I was dumbfounded, really. "So if I actually become a famous director and sleep with other actresses, you wouldn't mind either, right?" Before the words could even leave my lips, Scarlett cut me off with a furrowed brow. "Stop causing trouble here. Director Drake changed your name just to generate buzz for the show. Don't be so unreasonable." She just stood there watching as her husband was openly insulted with a name change, and now she's blaming me for making a scene? Scarlett and I had been secretly married for 7 years. For the sake of her career, she never agreed to my mother's request for us to have children. And now, she's climbed into another man's bed so easily, even getting pregnant with his child. Instead, she hypocritically turned the blame on me. Seeing my unpleasant expression and showing no intention of stopping, Scarlett suddenly stepped forward and slapped me hard across the face, sending a scalding wave of pain through me. "If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even have this role. Do you honestly think director Drake would have agreed to let you play the male lead?" As she spoke, Scarlett cast a sidelong glance at Trevor Drake. Taking Scarlett's cue, Trevor Drake looked down at me with a condescending and disdainful gaze. Watching these two say such shameless words, I found it utterly ridiculous. When this movie was being filmed, I clearly had a better role lined up. But it was Scarlett who insisted she had higher hopes for this project. It was a script from a director she admired. She wanted me to take the role, begging me to fulfill her wish. I agreed, even though the pay wasn't as good as another project I was offered. All I cared about at that moment was that Scarlett's feelings mattered more than anything else. We clearly needed a cost-effective yet talented actor to anchor this production. How did it suddenly become about her sleeping her way into the role for me? "Scarlett, don't be ridiculous." I no longer had the energy for pointless arguments with them and decided to protect my rights through legal means. Returning home, I spent the entire night compiling documents to prepare my lawsuit against the director. But unfortunately, I was still a step too late. The new series had already aired. Just 2 episodes in, it had already topped the trending charts, all because of the ridiculous name of the male lead actor. "Ha, Leo Softy, let's see just how soft he is. With a face like that, he's hopeless. Poor female lead, I could do better than this idiot." That's hilarious. What kind of parents could raise someone so ugly and talentless? Has Hollywood's bar gotten this low now? You're absolutely right. Probably the male lead's parents hate their own kid too. That's why they gave him such an awful name. Hopefully he'll just be a bottom in the future and stop ruining women's lives. Vicious comments flew everywhere, instantly trending across the entire internet. Netizens' enthusiasm for the drama even spilled over into my personal life. My home address had been dug up by people. When my mom called me, she was so angry she could barely catch her breath. "Son, just what kind of terrible crime have you committed? Netizens everywhere are cursing at you like this. You've made your old mother. Where can I possibly show my face anymore?" By the time I rushed to the hospital, the doctor told me my mother had suffered a sudden severe complication of her heart disease from intense rage and needed coronary artery bypass surgery. Elderly patients face high surgical risks, and the cost is enormous. It requires $300,000. Half my life savings were already tied up in Scarlett's name. Left with no choice, I still ended up calling Scarlett. "Sweetheart, Mom's had a heart attack and we need money urgently. Can you wire $300,000? A long silence hung on the other end of the line. Trevor, slow down, the doctor strictly said we shouldn't do this now. You just can't resist, can you? Finally, after half a minute, Scarlett's coquettish voice came through. But she wasn't speaking to me. Of course I couldn't help it. I couldn't bear to see you wronged with that weakling. So now I have to make the most of my time to satisfy you. Trevor Drake was enjoying himself, panting as he exerted himself. Scarlett laughed even louder. "That's it, baby, scream louder. Let your husband hear what a real man sounds like." What? Only now did Scarlett realize that the call I'd made had been answered by Trevor Drake. At this moment, my stomach, empty from a busy day without eating, also began to churn violently. My nails dug into my flesh as I suppressed fury and disgust to speak once more. "Scarlett, Mom's had a heart attack and needs $300,000 for surgery. Send the money quickly." Scarlett, now composed and clear-headed, finally listened to what I had to say. After a pause, her voice brimmed with suspicion and impatience. Really? What kind of surgery costs $300,000? Your mom's always been perfectly healthy, stop lying to me. I'm busy right now, we'll talk later. With that, she heartlessly hung up the phone, leaving me no chance to respond. When I called back, the phone was already turned off. I borrowed from all my friends around me, but only managed to scrape together $100,000. I had no choice but to step into the film crew. I requested the investor to pay me the salary for this movie, $1.5 million, which would be enough to cover my mother's surgery expenses. You still have the nerve to ask for money? Weren't you the ones who sued our production team? Don't you know that counts as breaching the contract? Where does this payment even come from? The investor flung the lawsuit document accusing the crew of insulting actors right in front of me. Back then, I was prepared to risk breaching the contract, just to win this lawsuit and defend my dignity. But now, I had no other choice. I'm sorry, boss. I'm withdrawing the lawsuit. After I called my lawyer to withdraw the lawsuit, the investor showed a satisfied expression. But soon it turned into provocation. If you want your pay, the remaining episodes have a few scenes that need reshoots. Get ready, you'll be working with director Drake tomorrow for reshoots. When I opened the script, it was filled with dangerous explosive scenes. Do I need to relive that sensation of being scorched by blazing flames at the explosion site again? Last time I almost got seriously injured. Anyway, audiences won't scrutinize such scenes too closely. The costs are too high, no director would choose to shoot multiple takes of this. This is clearly Trevor Drake deliberately making things difficult for me. I questioned, these scenes don't need to be res hot, do they? Before I could finish, Scarlett walked out arm in arm with Trevor Drake. Even though she was pregnant, she was still wearing a sexy fishtail dress with a high slit. Leo, don't be so fussy. I've long thought those scenes needed reshooting. You didn't capture them well at all. The love scenes between the male and female leads also need to be res hot. After I give birth, Drake and I should reshoot them together. We work well together, only then will the audiences feel something. Scarlett spoke as radiant visions danced across her glowing face. She remained completely unaware that beside her, my fist clenched so tightly that blood seeped through my fingers as I stared at the red mark on her neck. To cover my mother's surgery fees, I arrived at the filming location as promised. I changed into protective performance gear and inspected the staff and security measures on set. After confirming there were no mistakes, I took my designated performance position. Action! With Trevor Drake's command, I began to perform. 1 take, 2 takes, 3 takes, I lost count of how many attempts we made. Trevor Drake kept shouting cut, as the onset flames were relit time after time. Vehicles were replaced one after another, while my protective suit gradually failed. Feeling something was seriously wrong, I looked toward the director's position. The sight before me froze my burning body to the core, only to see Scarlett half lying on Trevor Drake, who wasn't even watching the performance screen, too busy making out with her. Every now and then, he barked orders at the nearby crew. Asterisk, keep lighting the fire, keep burning the cars, I've got plenty of money for equipment. Make him keep acting. If he wants my money, it won't be that easy. Asterisk. Director Drake is truly generous. Not only does he have the money to invest, but he's also so professional and meticulous. People like Leo Vance should be put through their paces more often, or their acting will never improve. Scarlett sat on Trevor Drake's lap, feeding him a grape with her lips in a sycophantic tone, and those barking commands of cut, and do it again, came from a timed recorder beside them. Like a fool, I kept obediently performing the same scene of falling into the fire, over and over, at the machine's command. A searing heat engulfed my entire body, igniting an inexplicable fury in my heart. Just as I was about to storm out of the performance area, an unexpected accident occurred. With a deafening boom, the car being used for filming suddenly exploded. The tremendous blast hurled me dozens of meters away, and my hand was injured by flying shrapnel. The scene was in complete chaos. My vision was obscured by the dust from the explosion, and the pain throughout my body continued to spread, especially in my arms, which had been scorched by the blast. Help me! Scarlett, help me! Seeing that the security team hadn't noticed me at all, I could only call out to Scarlett, who was closest to me. Startled by the explosion, she was currently snuggling affectionately with Trevor Drake and only noticed me after a long while. What are you doing here? Were you slacking off earlier? Was it because you didn't perform on time that caused the props to explode? No, it was an explosion during my performance. I was blown here by the blast. Quick, take me to a hospital. I strained my voice, desperately trying to explain, but Scarlett wasn't listening to me at all. She had noticed the sparks that had landed on Trevor Drake's trouser leg. Oh my God, Trevor, are you alright? Those sparks got through, be careful or you'll get burned. I'd be heartbroken if you got hurt. Scarlett, being pregnant, had difficulty bending over to examine Trevor Drake's minor injury. She actually knelt on the ground and gently lifted his foot to her chest, carefully examining Trevor Drake's calf, even licking the reddened area to alleviate his slight pain. Watching this scene, my heart feels as if gripped by large hands, aching intensely. Having been married to Scarlett for 7 years, How did I never know until now that she could do such things? Seeing no help coming and this deadlock continuing, I fear my life may not be spared. I used the last of my strength to crawl desperately toward the rescue station. The security team's medical staff only feigned concern upon seeing me, saying, "Mr. Vance, there you are. We've been searching for you unsuccessfully just now. We'll examine your injuries immediately." The medical personnel quickly realized my injuries were the most severe at the scene, but with only one emergency vehicle left for hospital transport, several medics loaded me onto a stretcher and prepared to board. "Wait, take me and Trevor to the hospital first. I checked his foot, it's getting redder, and I'm afraid it might be burned." Scarlett's commanding voice rang out from a distance, her face etched with worry, terrified that the man beside her might suffer even the slightest harm. But upon closer inspection, compared to me, her legally wedded husband covered in wounds, it was impossible to see where exactly Trevor Drake was injured. The rescue doctor, recognizing the director's authority, knowingly tossed me off the stretcher without a second thought. The previously aching wound was squeezed again. What about me? I tugged at the nearby doctor, desperately trying to fight for myself. At that moment, Scarlett happened to be supporting Trevor Drake toward the rescue vehicle. With her hands full, she used her foot to kick away my grip on the doctor's arm. "You'll have to wait for the next vehicle. Trevor has never suffered much hardship since childhood, his physique isn't as sturdy as yours. I'm afraid something might happen to him." The rescue vehicle door slammed shut, and the group sped away, leaving only my battered self behind, helplessly watching them depart. At this point, all I could do was wait, but nearly an hour passed without any news. I asked a colleague to call Scarlett for me. Hearing my plea for help, she responded impatiently on the other end of the line. "How can a grown man be so fussy? Rescue vehicles cost money. Can't you save the production some expense? Figure it out yourself." Before I could get a word in, she'd already hung up. With no other options left, I gritted my teeth and mustered the last of my strength to crawl out of the filming location, begging for help from passers-by. Fortunately, a kind passerby called an ambulance for me and took me to the hospital. By then, the pain had become so intense that my entire body had gone numb. Realizing I was finally safe, my strained nerves began to relax, and I fainted. At the hospital, after what felt like an eternity, I woke from my unconscious state. "You're awake? You arrived too late. Your hand was severely burned and infected. In an emergency effort to save your life, we had to perform an amputation." The doctor's words hit me like a hammer blow. "Amputation? How can I continue my acting career without a hand?" Sir, don't forget to pay the surgical fees at the front desk later." The doctor's call snapped me out of my dazed state. Just then, my phone rang. It was my mother's hospital calling. "Mr. Vance, we couldn't reach you earlier. Your mother's condition is critical. Please come to the hospital immediately." Without a second thought, I dashed to the hospital where my mother was, my body still wrapped in bandages. As soon as I arrived at the ward, I saw a crowd gathered around my mother's bed. "Mr. Vance, you've finally come. Your mother's surgery has been delayed for too long. There's no need for it now." As I mentioned, the operation was supposed to take place today, but, yes, indeed, I had woken up early today, planning to reshoot a few scenes so I could secure my pay by noon and arrange my mother's surgery without delay. But never did I expect that after being toyed with and tormented by Trevor Drake and Scarlett for so long, an accident would even occur. I crawled to my mother's hospital bed, listening to her laboriously utter a few words. "Has Scarlett come?" Hearing my mother call out Scarlett's name, I frantically dialed Scarlett's number like a madman. The call was answered smoothly, but a deep male voice came through. "Leo Vance, you useless piece of shit. Why do you keep calling your wife? Your wife just got out of the delivery room after giving birth to my child, a boy who looks just like me. What? Want to come see? You?" The speakerphone volume was incredibly loud, and everyone present heard every word clearly, especially my mother. My mother lay in bed, her hands trembling with rage as she tried to raise them to speak, but before any sound could escape her, she took her last breath. My mother is dead, killed by Scarlett. In her final moments, she learned that Scarlett had not only cheated but even had a child with another man. How heartbroken she must have been, unable to close her eyes in peace. My mother's greatest wish in life was to hold her grandchild and enjoy the joys of family. But I always considered Scarlett's career circumstances, making excuses for her, persuading my mother not to pressure Scarlett anymore. Though my mother harbored some regrets in her heart, she never truly blamed Scarlett. Every time Scarlett went on a business trip, it was my mother who woke up early to pack her luggage. When she came home from work late, it was also my mother who stayed up to make her midnight snacks. Looking at my mother's unclosed eyes, countless emotions flooded my heart. Annoyance, breakdown, self-blame, fury. "Scarlett, it's time we settle what's between us." It wasn't until I was handling my mother's funeral arrangements that Scarlett finally called me back. "Have you lost your damn mind calling me so much these days? Can't you see I'm busy?" "Busy my ass. If you had any conscience left you'd come see my mom one last time." Hearing the impatience in Scarlett's voice, I couldn't suppress my fury any longer and shouted at her. She was startled by the phone call at first, but eventually agreed. Scarlett, still weak from childbirth, dragged her sickly body to the scene. The moment she saw my mother's coffin, Scarlett looked dazed, rubbing her eyes in disbelief. Leo, I know you've been upset about me and Trevor, but I've already explained it was for our career. You don't have to keep making such unreasonable fuss. You actually used Mom's fake death to scare me? Mom just texted me 2 days ago asking how I was. How could she possibly be dead? Scarlett refused to believe my mother had died, pointing at my face while rattling off endless doubts. I snorted coldly, finding this absurdly amusing. Even now, Scarlett remained trapped in her own delusional world. Then why don't you see for yourself whether my mother's really dead or not? At the brink of collapse, I went berserk, ignoring everyone's attempts to stop me as I threw open my mother's coffin. As the coffin lid was lifted, my mother's pale face suddenly appeared before Scarlett's eyes. The once confident and smug Scarlett staggered back several steps in terror, only realizing the gravity of the situation after confirming my mother had truly passed away. Mom, no, you can't be gone. Leo was lying to me, right? You treated me so well, you wouldn't have left me willingly, would you? Scarlett recalled everything that had happened recently, how I pressed her for the surgery fees, urged her to visit my mother, until that final time when I begged her to see my mother one last time. These thoughts echoed endlessly in Scarlett's mind. She could never have imagined that again and again, it was she who had pushed my mother toward death, delaying her best chance at rescue. Leo Vance, you worthless piece of shit, why do you keep looking for your wife? She just got out of the delivery room after giving birth to my child. It's a boy, looks just like me. What, you want to come see? I played her the recording of my last phone call with Scarlett. I wanted her to know that it was Scarlett, her very self, who killed my mother. Leo, what is this? The last time you called me, Trevor answered the phone, and then Mom just left us like that? Even with mental preparation, hearing that she was the culprit behind my mother's death still made her collapse to the ground in fright. Scarlett knelt on the floor, weeping uncontrollably and pouring out all her apologies to my mother. Yet no matter how sincere her apologies were, they couldn't bring my mother back, nor could they earn my forgiveness. Scarlett Miller, I want a divorce. As for what happened to my mother, I'll get to the bottom of it. I flung the divorce papers I had prepared more than half a month in advance right at Scarlett's face. The papers swept across Scarlett's cheeks. Even with her eyes swollen from crying, her striking beauty still made her look as dazzling as ever. She never seemed to have imagined I would ask for a divorce, nor had she ever grown unaccustomed to my restrained demeanor when witnessing her with Trevor Drake. Don't you understand me either? Everything I did was for our future. We're both actors. We need Director Drake's resources. Enough! I interrupted her with bloodshot eyes before she could finish. Truth be told, I'd long been sick of Scarlett's sanctimonious demeanor. It was clear she'd crossed the line, betraying our relationship for a man she thought could further her career, yet dared claim it was for my sake. She's just too hilarious. She's merely trying to justify her own filth. Scarlett, do you even believe the words coming out of your own mouth? I gritted my teeth, staring into Scarlett's guilty eyes as I demanded answers. Scarlett's mouth opened and closed repeatedly, yet not a single word escaped. Her gaze lingered on me before finally settling on the stump where my left arm used to be. Your hand. I instinctively hid my bandaged left hand behind my back, but Scarlett couldn't hold back anymore. Did you get hurt during that day's shoot? I'm sorry, I didn't know it was this serious. It's me, it's my fault, all my fault. She stared blankly at what remained of my left hand, whispering in self-reproach. But what use was this belated apology? I didn't want to see her in this ridiculous state and was about to leave first. Leo Vance, don't you bear any responsibility at all? If you were some big-shot director with endless resources, I wouldn't have had to sleep with directors for roles, wouldn't have even needed to bear his child. Scarlett spoke with self-righteous conviction, as if all these wrongs were my fault. Oh, so you're saying if I actually became a director and slept with other actresses, you wouldn't mind then? Caught off guard by my response, Scarlett fell silent. After a long pause, she finally stammered, how could that be? Shouldn't a man remain loyal? Oh, what hypocrisy, utterly laughable. After returning home, I swept all of Scarlett's belongings out and tossed them out the door. In the days to come, I will devote myself wholeheartedly to my new career as a director. When I first got accepted into the USC School of Cinematic Arts, my chosen major was directing to begin with, but I couldn't win against Scarlett's stubbornness back then. At the time, she made a scene about me changing majors, insisting I switch to her program just to keep her company. Will you stay with me? From now on, whenever I perform, I only want you to be my leading man. After pestering me relentlessly for a week, I finally agreed. At that time, Scarlett and I had just been puppy lovers for a month, still deeply in love and inseparable. Innocent as she was, she told me she wanted me to be her one and only leading man. Now, after 7 years of marriage, she mocks me for not being a famous director, so she's going to find another man. The boomerang thrown by that boy who believed love could conquer all has finally come back to hit the present me. Fortunately, my passion for directing has kept me learning all these years. Though my hands are crippled, I can still transition to behind-the-scenes work. I bought a stack of study materials and enrolled in adult extension classes with what little money I had left. After several months of immersive study, I began preparing to shoot a low-budget screenplay. I was so absorbed that I didn't notice the calls from Scarlett. A total of 134 missed calls and countless text messages. I didn't mean what I said, please don't leave me, okay? I have nowhere to live now, I'm staying in a hotel. Your lawyer is rushing me to sign the divorce agreement. I never thought you'd be so cruel to me. We did love each other, how could you treat me like this? Ever since giving birth, my health hasn't been good. I'm so cold, husband. I miss you so much. I miss the hot soup you used to make for me. Scarlett was still trying to play the victim to win my sympathy and get me back. Listening to her pour out her heart, I felt absolutely nothing inside. After coldly clicking delete and block, I collapsed exhausted onto the sofa and fell into a deep sleep. I slept for who knows how long before being vaguely awakened by alcohol-laden breath. When I opened my eyes, Scarlett's sensual red lips were pressed against my neck, wantonly rubbing against it. Husband, I've missed you so much. I couldn't find you all this time. Do you know how heartbroken I've been? I know you blame me for Mom's death. These nights I've been going to her grave every evening to confess my guilt. Last night Mom appeared in my dream. She's forgiven me, said she wants us to be happy together. Please forgive me too, husband. Scarlett was drunk, blindfolded while talking and teasing me with her body movements. Coming to my senses, I suppressed my physical revulsion and shoved her entire body away. This body that Trevor Drake had defiled countless times, even if she wasn't disgusted by it, I found it utterly repulsive. I looked at the door that had been opened naturally with a key, realizing that I'd been too exhausted today to remember to double lock it. While calling a locksmith to change the lock, I washed the areas where Scarlett had touched me. Do you really dislike me that much? Yes, you're dirty? She was practically asking a question she already knew the answer to. Even after seeing my resolute attitude, Scarlett still refused to give up. She even tried to come forward and embrace me, but I exerted strength to drag her out the door and forcefully shut it. Leon Vance, do you not cherish any of our past feelings at all? Does seeing me like this make you happy? Scarlett broke down, her words no longer slurred with drunkenness, as she began to collapse into recounting her experiences during this period. She said Trevor Drake was a liar who had dumped her. He was merely after the genes of her beauty, treating her as nothing more than a breeding tool. After learning it was a boy, Trevor Drake took the child home and promptly deleted all of Scarlett's contact information. When Scarlett, pitiful and alone, finished her postpartum confinement and waited to recover physically before demanding that Trevor Drake cast her as the lead actress, he lashed out brutally at her. He sneered, calling her a talentless pretty face foolishly trying to climb the ladder by clinging to a man. Scarlett was furious when she realized she'd been deceived. She stormed into Trevor Drake's new film set to confront him, only to find another woman lying on top of Trevor Drake. She instantly became the biggest laughingstock. Overnight, rumors flooded the internet claiming Scarlett slept her way to the top by bearing men's children. Had Trevor Drake not needed publicity for his new TV series, this scandal would still be raging today. Scarlett spoke through uncontrollable sobs, attempting once more to win my sympathy. But what does this have to do with me? Isn't this his own fault? Even now, Scarlett still refuses to agree to a divorce. To get my money back, I officially filed a lawsuit against Scarlett. Faced with the overwhelming evidence I provided, the judge ruled that Scarlett and I should divorce, leaving her with nothing. Upon hearing the news, Scarlett stood there dazed like a frostbitten eggplant, mechanically signing the divorce papers. Watching me walk away callously with the signed divorce papers, Scarlett's eyes brimmed with resentment and reluctance. Do you really hate me that much? I still love you, Leo. I'll atone for my mistakes, just say the word and forgive me, and I'll always be here waiting. No thanks. Only fools look back. After reclaiming my money, I invested it all in my new play. This series is adapted from a carefully selected popular female-oriented web novel that fits today's market trends. It should generate substantial profits while also accumulating fans and resources. Before filming, I conducted thorough screenings and selected a large group of highly capable actors. The final two key roles, the female lead and supporting actress, remain unconfirmed. These characters are the highlights and core figures of the entire drama. Countless actresses came to audition, but only a handful were suitable. On this day, a familiar face appeared among the actors trying out. It was Scarlett. Director, I'm here to compete for the lead female role. I admit, upon first seeing Scarlett, my contempt overwhelmed any appreciation for her beauty, but my professional instincts told me I should respect every actor. Entering the formal audition phase, she began performing with full emotional intensity opposite her scene partner. I was stunned from the judges' panel. Scarlett had changed. During this period she actually went to refine her acting skills, and I must say her performance now met the standard. After auditioning all candidates, we finally hesitated between two final choices. One is Scarlett, the other is Chloe Reed. Chloe is famously known as the nation's sweetheart in the industry with solid acting skills, but unfortunately she had a bad previous agency and never got good opportunities. After nearly 5 years in Hollywood, she still hasn't landed a breakthrough role. This opportunity was once in a century for her. Seeing the eagerness in her eyes, both my partner and I beside her hesitated. Director, I'd like to pursue this role. If needed, I can even do another private audition with you. Hearing this, I froze and looked up in shock. Anyone with eyes could understand the implied meaning behind those words. What surprised me was that these words came from Chloe's mouth. She was famously known in the industry as a strong-willed actress with unshakable principles, otherwise she wouldn't have remained without a breakout role till now, which showed how steadfast she'd been in upholding those principles all along. But this time, facing the formidable opponent Scarlett in this hard-won opportunity for the lead female role, had she begun to waver too? Seeing Chloe's pleading gaze, I remained silent. Beside us, Scarlett was also stunned upon hearing this. Her widened eyes darted between Chloe and me before settling into an expression of confidence as she declared, "Save your breath, what kind of person do you think Director Leo is? Don't waste such thoughts on Leo. He's my. Come to my room at 7 tonight for the audition." I interrupted Scarlett, standing up to address Chloe. Chloe lit up with joy as if she'd won the jackpot, gazing at me eagerly before nodding in agreement. Scarlett, however, couldn't stay seated. Anxiously, she grabbed my arm as I turned to leave, her eyebrows knitted in reproach. "How could you do this? I told you to wait for me. And even though we're divorced now, does that mean you'll sleep with any actress who throws herself at you? Have you no principles at all?" I found it amusing and looked at Scarlett with surprise. "Exactly? Didn't I learn from you? Didn't you say it's perfectly normal for actresses to sleep with directors for roles? So why are you so worked up when it's me? By the way, do you want in? Didn't you want the lead role too? Isn't this exactly how you're best at snatching parts?" Perhaps unable to endure the man she loved insulting her like this, Scarlett trembled with rage, her face turning ashen. "Today, I feel like indulging myself for once. Chloe has always been like a goddess in my heart. If I didn't know her character so well, I wouldn't have agreed. Tonight might as well be our grown-up way of confessing feelings." At 7 in the evening, my door was knocked on right on time. When I opened it, I was surprised to find not just Chloe, but Scarlett too. Chloe was clearly inexperienced, dressed in casual everyday clothes. In contrast, Scarlett's choice of black stockings paired with high heels and a subtly revealing black nightgown made her intentions all too clear. I glanced at the two of them, but before I could speak, Scarlett cut in. "Choose me or her. You decide tonight." I truly hadn't expected Scarlett to take my daytime provocation to heart, but the more she behaves like this, the lower she falls in my esteem. Needless to say, I welcomed Chloe in while leaving Scarlett standing outside my door. I went ahead and removed her from the cast shortlist. While I'm confident I could work with actors who have scandals since I can leverage outstanding scripts to ensure my production isn't overly affected, someone like Scarlett who lacks basic principles isn't worth my time. Consider it personal. That night, Chloe and I shared a spring evening's intimacy. At first, Chloe was genuinely sincere, going through the script one more time and demonstrating that she had already memorized her lines flawlessly. Looking at this naive girl, one of the rare genuinely sincere actresses in the industry, I found her incredibly adorable. Seizing the ambiguous atmosphere, I confessed my feelings, and she responded. "I know this kind of thing is very common in the industry, but I've always stuck to my principles, until I met you. You're so handsome and talented. I want to have a normal relationship with you." I nodded, my heart secretly rejoicing. The day I secured the female lead role, Scarlett couldn't hold back anymore. She stormed onto my set and made a huge scene, confident that I would give her the role for old time's sake. When she saw Chloe cuddling by my side, she completely lost it. First, she tried to lay hands on Chloe like a madwoman, but I stopped her. Then she started telling everyone on set about our past love story. Chloe couldn't take it anymore and posted footage of Scarlett's meltdown online. Netizens once again dug up dirt on Scarlett, with the most thoroughly excavated scandal being the one involving Scarlett and Trevor Drake. But just as Trevor Drake's new show began airing, it got derailed by this wave of negative revelations. There was no way Trevor Drake would let Scarlett off easily after this. They pulled out all the stops and used family connections to imprison Scarlett. Scarlett had long heard that Trevor Drake had connections in both the underworld and legitimate circles. Now she was experiencing it firsthand. "You filthy bitch, did you sabotage my new show's ratings? Didn't I warn you not to cause trouble again? Who do you think you're dealing with? Some pushover." Trevor Drake wielded a 2-inch thick leather whip, lashing her entire body without mercy. Scarlett didn't have a single patch of unblemished flesh across her entire body. Just as Scarlett was pitifully pleading for help from Trevor Drake, he simply pointed to her right side. Several thick, fist-sized snakes were already slithering hungrily towards Scarlett's bloody, exposed flesh. "Feast time, my darlings," Trevor Drake commanded. The moment the snake cage opened, the creatures surged forward in a frenzy towards Scarlett. "Isn't it just because of that pretty face? What else do you have? I told you not to cause trouble for me, but you never listen. Trevor Drake's father owns a casino in Las Vegas. As the youngest son in the family, he had always dreamed of becoming a director. After finally gaining his father's support to film several shows, now was the time to prove himself. The show flopped, which undoubtedly felt like a death blow to him. Having grown up watching his father solve problems with brute force and harboring some unconventional pet preferences himself, he went insane punishing the woman who had ruined his show. Scarlett was scared half to death by the snakes and screamed desperately for help. Fortunately, they were all pet snakes with minimal venom, but still enough to leave Scarlett's skin torn and bleeding. Fearing he might kill someone, Trevor Drake simply dumped Scarlett by the roadside after venting his rage. Scarlett called me while I was enjoying some alone time with Chloe. "Leo, Trevor Drake attacked me. Please save me, I beg you." I lazily picked up the phone, turned on the speaker, and spoke carelessly. "What? You got beaten up? How could you possibly get beaten up when you're fine? Stop acting with me, I'm busy right now. Don't bother me." I threw back at her the exact words she'd said to me when I called about my mother being sick. Her weak, struggling voice came through the phone. "I'm not lying to you. Let's do it again, Leo." Chloe climbed on top of me, cooing sweetly with her soft, adorable voice. Seizing the moment, I pinned Chloe beneath me once more. Scarlett's heart turned to ashes, yet she still attempted to call out to me, but the phone only transmitted the moans of Chloe and me in the throes of passion. We were utterly lost in ecstasy. The first drama I directed had already entered its premiere phase. As expected, the show became a massive hit, and I became the rising star among new directors in the industry. With fame came a flood of investments and advertisements. I was one step closer to becoming the prominent director Scarlett had once described. Back then, when you told me to post about Scarlett online, was it for my sake? Now she's completely vanished from the industry and won't be able to spread any harmful rumors about me. Chloe lay in my arms, talking about the past. I replied, gazing into the distance without saying more. It was the direction where my mother's gravestone stood. Just a few days later, I suddenly received a call from the hospital. "Mr. Vance, Ms. Miller has some last words she needs to tell you. Would it be possible for you to come to the hospital?" I paused before agreeing. Upon arriving at the hospital, I found Scarlett in the same poor condition as my mother had been, barely able to open her mouth to speak. "That day you didn't come to save me. I don't blame you. It's fine, I've repaid your mother with my life." Her tone carried a melancholy resentment, without a trace of remorse. But wasn't this her own karma? The night Scarlett died happened to be the anniversary of my mother's death. Those who betray true love deserve to die 1,000 deaths. The end.